Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Haunted Dolls and Curses video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one not necessarily based on one of your new suggestions, but instead a variation of a new suggestion. And what I mean is this: every now and then when I'm looking up information for an entry, sometimes I come across other things on the internet that I find interesting. And in this case, I came across this haunted Barbie doll, the information tied to it, the loose links when it comes to how it came to be. It was also fascinating to me that I wanted to go ahead and share it within its own individual video. So how about that? Sometimes I come across other entries just by accident when I'm looking up your own suggestions, but it has to do with this, and you're looking at a picture of it now. It has a very unique name too. It's known as the Pulau Ubin Barbie. That's right, Pulau Ubin Barbie. Oh, I'm saying that correctly. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating info associated with this very, very haunted doll. Lots of loose links, in other words, lots of anonymous information associated with this entry too. Made me wonder if there was going to be something on the lines of like an urban legend almost tied to it. But the fact that there's a shrine dedicated to this haunted doll and the tragedy that became of it, like what led to it, makes me more believe that it's on the true side. So here's essentially what happened. You have to first go back to World War I to first hear the origin of this story. World War I, 1914, over 100 plus years, if you could believe that. That's how far back this origin goes. But yes, there was a location there in Singapore that one German couple was living there. And this German couple happened to have a daughter as well. And as it turns out, the British Army were there at the same time. I don't know if they were there, let's say, for battle, or if they were doing their own set of military operations. Either way, though, they came across this German couple, and as it turns out, they suspected them of being possible spies. Who knows if this was 100% true? Anything involving spies and espionage, only certain people will truly know the facts associated with them. If they were truly spies, then obviously the British Army was onto them. If they weren't, then obviously that goes a whole other different route, like in terms of innocent people being accused of this stuff. Either way, though, whatever happened, there was a huge tragic thing that occurred afterward with regards to this investigation. This couple was caught, and as the melee was happening, in terms of their capture, their very young daughter escaped. But she escaped, unfortunately, to her doom, because what happened next was she apparently went off to some cliff area and she fell off of it. She fell off of it and she ended up dying pretty much right there on the spot. I don't know if this happened that night. This may have been more likely during that time period, because one would think that a cliff would be much easier to see during the day, or who knows, maybe she decided to just escape, wanted to, do a final escape and then jump from that cliff no matter what, so that way she couldn't get captured. Either way, though, she fell off that cliff and she died. And the way the story continues, there is a location called Pulau Ubin, just east of Singapore. Very tiny place, very remote, very tiny population back then, and to this day it's even smaller. I was looking up the information on that. Only 38 people live in Pulau Ubin, and that was back when the last census tracking, if you could even call it that, was done in 2012. 38 people. There's like more people living in my hallway here in the apartment than probably in that entire island. But somehow the locals, no matter how small of a number they were, they heard about the tragic tale associated with this German couple's daughter. And so back then they decided to create an altar. 100 plus years ago, they decided to create an altar. It was a porcelain altar. They placed a lock of the young girl's hair there, and then they also placed a crucifix. And no doubt over time, things started to get more and more bigger, like when it comes to the items that were placed there. This is because that location became its almost own sacred site. Like people started to hear about the tale associated with this sacred shrine. And when that happened, more people started to visit that tiny island. They would bring good things with them, offerings, in other words. Some cases, people would bring lipstick, others would bring perfume. The idea was that there was some supernatural sense that was there within that shrine. Something was living there. Something was almost communicating with people. And a lot of people believed that it was the essence or the spirit of this young girl. So when she ended up passing away, tragically, of course, falling down that cliff, somehow, whenever the shrine was created, her essence or spirit moved over to that shrine and she inhabits it to this day. Isn't that amazing? I love stories like that because, again, it's an exact spot. And you know how much I love those. You can go then to that spot to this day, and there's a chance that there'll be something there of this young girl as she's watching you, she's seeing what you're doing. And she brings good fortune, apparently, to those who bring offerings to her there. I would absolutely have, if I had the chance to go visit that shrine, I would absolutely be bringing something for this young girl. And then that way, who knows what kind of good luck or healing powers is another one that people state that she has as well. That kind of stuff that could befall them could also befall me as well. Well, the story takes another interesting twist back in 2007. As it turns out, yet another anonymous person, in this case a man, and it doesn't tell us who or where this man was from. Somewhere along the way, though, he started to have these strange dreams. It was 3 nights in a row, in fact. It goes like this. He would dream about a young white girl, so in other words, anglicized girl, leading him to a toy store that he had never been to before. And within that toy store, leading him throughout areas there. Again, he would have no clue how to get about that store because it was the first time he was ever there. And somehow this young girl would lead him to an aisle that happened to contain, in an exact spot, a Barbie doll. And then after that encounter, then that was it. So it would happen once again, one day on a night, let's say at a dream. Second night, another dream. Third night, 3 nights in a row, same dream. After that third night, this guy decided he wanted to go hunt that store. And he did. He actually found that store. I don't know if he used anything else, like let's say whatever version of Google Maps was back in 2007, or if he used something else. Either way, though, he actually found that store, and to his amazement, it was exactly like he had seen in his dream. This young girl that led him to that store, he was able to remember like where she was leading him. So he went to that specific store, went down the aisles, went to the specific spot where the doll would be, and there it was. The very same Barbie doll that he saw in his dream was the very same one that he was now looking at within the store itself. Great stuff when I was reading that information, because it makes you wonder how that stuff could happen. As it turns out, he bought that particular doll, obviously seeing that he had to at this point. And then I'm guessing that this young girl also told him where to place it, because he went to that shrine that was located there in Pulau Ubin. And when he did so, maybe under her command or again her wishes, something along those lines, he finally placed it at that shrine, giving you the idea that it was this young girl that wanted to have this Barbie doll. Even in her afterlife, wanted to have this Barbie doll and wanted it placed there at her shrine. And when he did so, it replaced an urn that apparently stood there. And this haunted Barbie doll is there to this day. In fact, the sense I got from the story was once the haunted Barbie doll was placed there, again, based on her commands, it seems like that place has gotten even more supernatural type stuff associated with it. But that's pretty much it. Like, that's all the info that I could provide when it comes to this very, very fascinating tale. So it all started with World War One, which next led to a tragedy involving the death of that young girl, which next led to the shrine being placed there in that tiny island, and then finally cut to a long time later, 3 nights in a row, dreams causing this guy to be able to come out, buy this Barbie doll, and then take it straight to that shrine, all based on everything being linked, of course, to the essence or spirit of this very young girl. Fascinating stuff again when I was mentioning this. And I was reading comments about others, how they've stated they visited that location and they again continue to offer things to the spirit of this girl just to make sure that they could get that good fortune or healing powers, whatever else she happens to have with regards to her supernatural abilities. But that's pretty much it again as far as the information associated with this tale of the Pulau Ubin Barbie doll. I wonder if anyone has had the chance to visit that location there. Again, it's nearby, just a little bit east of Singapore. If you have, then great. If you can, please post your comments below, share your experiences on it. I love it whenever I mention that because it does happen. People eventually do post their experiences being at the exact location that I was talking about in the video. So if anyone has that info, then please post it below. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.